the difference of rational expression, your objective is to study how to subtract rational expression with the same denominator. So here again, here are some examples of rational expression. We talked about this earlier with the sum. So same thing. These are just some example of rational expression. Example 1. So the rule for subtracting rational expression is the same as subtracting fraction. So these fractions have the same denominator, as you can see, 8. And then to find the difference, we're going to subtract the numerator. So to find the difference, we are going to say 5 minus 2 over, keep it the same denominator, which is 8. 5 minus 2 is 3. Therefore, 3 over 8 is my answer for that. Alright, so here is the rule as we looked at earlier. A over C minus B over C. You're going to subtract your numerator, A minus B, all over C. So subtract the numerators, the denominator does not change. So just keep the same denominator, subtract the numerators. Alright, example 2, to the rule for subtracting fraction, it also applies to the subtraction of rational expression. So again, we're going to subtract our numerator, which is 3x minus 4 over y. 3x minus 4 are not alike, so we cannot subtract that. So this is my answer for that. Alright, so try this real quick. If you have the numerator, find the numerator for the following rational expression. If you have 2x over 3y minus 1 over 3y, what would be your numerator if your denominator are kept the same? So my numerator will be 2x minus 1. And then denominator is 3y. Alright, example 3. Find the difference. Subtract the numerators. Again, the denominator does not change. So the numerator, I have 5x minus 1 minus x minus 3 all over 2x minus 1. Here, when we have when we had add, we can add them all together. But when you have a subtract, what we have to do is there is a 1 here that is understood to be there. So what you have to do, you have to distribute this negative into both terms in there. So 5x minus 1 will stays the same. Then we substitute the negative. Negative 1 times x is negative x, and negative 1 times negative 3 is a positive 3. All over 2x minus 1. Then we can combine our like terms. Let me minimize this a little bit more. Trying to minimize this a little bit more. Okay. So now if we add these together, I have 5x minus x gives me 4x, and then negative 1 plus 3 is a positive 2 all over 2x minus 1. Then is there anything I can factor out? Yes, I can factor out a 2 because both 4 and 2 are divisible by 2. So this is 2x plus 1 all over 2x minus 1. You always want to keep your answers in the simplest form. Minutes to copy that. Alright, now I want you to go ahead and do practice 2 and 3. Say find the difference, express your answer in the simplest form. Number 2, you should give me an answer. And number 3, there's A, B, C, D. So I want you to select one of the answer once you work it out. Alright guys, let's look at it together. Number 2, I have 6x over y minus x over y. So we're going to subtract our numerator by doing 6x minus x over y. 6x minus x is 5x over y. And then for number 3, I have n plus 4 over n minus 5. Subtract negative 3n plus 5 over n minus 5. So we have n plus 4. I'm going to go ahead and do it right here. I have this negative right here, so we're going to distribute that over there. Again, there should be a 1 that understood to be there. Negative 1 minus times negative 3n, it's a positive 3n. Negative 1 times negative 5 is a positive 5, all over n minus 5. So here n plus 3n gives me 4n. And then 4 plus 5 is 9. So 4n plus 9 all over n minus 5. Now I'm going to look at my answer choices. Therefore, A is my answer, which is 4n plus 9 over n minus 5. And we can now factor anything out, so that will be my answer for that. Alright, let's keep continuing with number 4 and 5. So go ahead and do that. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes and then we will look at this together. Alright guys, let's look at this together. I have 4m squared over 3n, subtract m squared over 3n. So I'm going to subtract my numerator by doing 4m squared minus m squared all over 3n. 4m squared minus m squared give me 3m squared over 3n. 3 divided by 3 gives me 1. Therefore, my answer is m squared over n. Then number 5, I have 2b minus 2 over 2b over b squared minus 2b plus 1. B squared minus 2b plus 1 minus 2 over b squared minus 2b plus 1. So we're going to add subtract our numerator and then keep the same denominator. So this is 2b minus 2 all over b squared minus 2b plus 1. Then, okay, is there anything I can factor out? Yes, I can factor out a 2 here. So I'm left with b minus 1. How about my denominator? I have b squared minus 2b minus 1. If you recall, when we did factoring, I have I'm looking for two numbers. When I multiply, I get 1, and when I add or subtract, I get negative 2. What number? Well, for 1, obviously it's 1 times 1. But since this needs to be a negative, it's going to be negative times 1, negative 1 times negative 1. It's a 1, and when I add negative 1 minus 1, it gives me a negative 2. So this gives me b minus 1, b minus 1. Then I look at this. Okay, I have b minus 1 in my numerator and then b minus 1 in my denominator. B minus 1 over b minus 1 gives me a 1. Therefore, my answer is 2 times 1 is 2 all over b minus 1. Alright, then so in summary, so we talk about the rule for subtracting fraction. It also applies to the subtraction of rational expression. So if you have a over c minus b over c, you subtract your numerator a minus b and then keep the same denominator c. And this is, if the denominator are the same, subtract the numerator and place the difference over the common denominator. And then sometimes we may need to simplify the result as we did in practice number 5. And then lastly, here is your homework also for subtracting. Find the difference for these. Again, this is in Google Classroom. Your homework is also posted in Google Classroom, so you can find it in there as well.